Well, here we are, back on F1 2021. We've done our first video on F1 22, but it's back to the routine, back to my team, and we're going to try and see out and finish Season 7 before we move on to Season number 8, which, if you didn't see already on the community post I mentioned, we're going back to the traditional format where we do qualifying and race all in one episode for the final season and the final, career mode season period on this game before we move on to F1 22. So hopefully you guys are excited for that one. For now though, we're going to see out this current season under the current format. So the race will be tomorrow, qualifying today. So stay tuned for both of those. Hopefully you're going to enjoy them. But yeah, here we are then. The Mexican Grand Prix. We have, I believe, 5 more races to go, or 4. I'm not fully certain if I put Australia on the calendar, but worst ways, we've got Mexico, Brazil, asterisk on Australia, Jeddah and Abu Dhabi. So yeah, pretty much it's game on in the championship. We've had a bit of a poor run. Verstappen is, I believe, around 40 points clear, so we've got a massive task on our hands to try and catch up. We need to win every single race and hope Max has a bad one, basically. So that's what we're going to try and do here today. In the background you saw the activities. We had a department event for the marketing side of things, the weather forecast, which also promises to be dry, and now you're seeing me go through the setup. And yeah, pretty much we're going to go full attack this weekend, full steam ahead, nothing to lose. We need to get a win, period, and we need to get some momentum on our side. So we join the action in Q1, and we're going to see if we can get through on one set of tyres and hopefully just one single lap. Making our way through the Foro Sol, the stadium, as we have a bit of oversteer and making our way up to the line. We set a 1:11.6, which is a decent little banker, to be fair. On our first lap, we went back to the pits, and you can see the gaps were pretty safe. About a half a second is the gap to Lundgaard, so I'm going to not go back out, and luckily for us that was the right call. We get through safely in P13, Gasly in P12, and yeah, overall 7 tenths off the pace. Verstappen setting a 1 minute 10.8 or a 0.9 low, I believe, which is pretty quick pace, to be fair. That's really rapid already. But we get into Q2, and we saved the set of tyres in Q1, which is awesome. So yeah, speaking of which, Q2 you can see having a bit of oversteer and struggling with the car balance through the first 3 corners, which was a recurring theme throughout the weekend around here. Nonetheless, we unfortunately run wide as we were pushing the limits at the start of Sector 3 there at the end of that lap. After making that mistake in the first 3 corners, I was trying to overcommit and recover lap time, and I ended up running wide and invalidating. Now, we finished the lap, just to give ourselves a reference, which was a 1:11.5, a tenth quicker than Q1, and I noticed we still had fuel and tyres left, so we're going to try and go for a second consecutive lap here and hope to not overheat. So, turn 1, nicely done. Turn 2 over the bump, turn 3 as well over the bump, trying to get those curbs lined up. We have a pretty good exit, and we're going to improve in the first sector by an absolute fraction into turn number 4 and then turn 5. Important through here to really have good mechanical grip and low speed, just trying to keep that momentum going.
There's only 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Through 6 and 7, now into turn 8 and the S section, trying to carry that speed throughout this entire sequence in 7th gear, and this is where you make up your lap time, getting as close as possible to the white lines at every single point, apex and exit, and we're up in the middle sector by 2.5 tenths here. This is a really good lap. This time we avoid making the same mistake as last time into the stadium, and now through the hairpin, trying to make sure we keep it neat and tidy through the mechanical grip section. At the front of the corner, running up to the line, and we improved by 1.5 tenths. Lost a bit of time in the final part of the lap, but still a 1:11.3, and we move into the top 3, and tyre wear also not too high. You can see we've got a pretty reasonable gap, about 2 tenths to P11, so we're going to take a chance and not go out again. Reason being is because, even though there's only 2 tenths of a gap, the grid is really close, so 2 tenths is actually quite a lot in the grand scheme of things. You can see here, we got through along with Pierre Gasly. Sainz setting the pace, of course. He's retiring at the end of the season, but showing he's still got a bit of pace left over. Now though, Q3, crunch time, and we need pole. Verstappen sets the pace and the benchmark early on there. Not the best lap though, 11.2 I believe he set. He has done, a 1:10.9 in Q1, so he has done better. Up to the line though, and it's a 1:11.0, and straight away provisional pole and setting a very strong lap time and PB banker.
We've had to spend time repairing the damage to the car.
Now, with that said, the damage luckily won't affect us, and we're still going to have time to get back out for one last run on our final set of tyres. And yeah, let's get into it. One last lap. Currently on pole. Can we extend our lead? Let's find out. Now that is one of the laps of the season. I wasn't happy we messed up the first sector and the first 3 corners. However, sectors 2 and 3 were perfect, and especially the S section in sector 2. If you watch that back, we were touching every single white line in terms of track limit. We were right on the edge of grip. We hooked up the best middle sector of the weekend by far, and that delivered the lap time. We set a 1 minute 10.8. We could have probably got a 7 had we cleaned up the first sector. Verstappen into the 110s, but not as fast as Q1. However, he still gets a front row start in P2. Then we've got Lando, Charles, Carlos, and then Pierre in P6. So not too shabby, and then took them down in P10. And worth noting, Ricciardo missed out as he got knocked out in Q2. So yeah, there's your grid, guys, for the race tomorrow. We're on pole, Verstappen alongside. It's going to be drama again. It's going to be action-packed, and the pressure's on. So guys, like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. Be back tomorrow for the race, and yeah, as always, a massive shout out to the members. Finally, check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them, and I'll see you guys for the race tomorrow. Until then, take care, and let's go back from me.